Hi, I'm David Fleming from Disciples Ignited, a ministry that's focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom and preparing his disciples. In this series, Learning to Pray Like Jesus, we've been looking at the Lord's Prayer from Matthew chapter 6. To start out, let's look at that scripture together. I'm going to be reading Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 13 from the New International Version. This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Now today we're going to be looking specifically at verse 13 that tells us to pray, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Oh, there's a lot to cover in this one. As we examine Matthew chapter 6, verse 13 today, we're going to look at four specific words: lead, temptation, deliver, and evil one. So let's start with lead. To lead means to take someone, to bring them, or even to carry someone. Now, some people interpret this to mean don't take us to temptation, and others believe that it means don't let us be tempted. Now, however you interpret this, you're acknowledging that the Lord is in control. Now, this is how I approach this prayer, Lord, lead us not into temptation. I unite it to Psalm 141, verse 4 that says, do not let my heart be drawn to what is evil, so that I take part in wicked deeds along with those who are evildoers. Do not let me eat of their delicacies. Basically, I'm asking the Lord, Lord, you know my weaknesses. Have mercy on me and don't let me go where you know that I'm going to be overcome. Now, what about the word temptation? Now, some people confuse temptation with testing. Don't do that, because see, testing is something that the Lord does, like when the Lord tested the Israelites in the wilderness. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 2 addresses this when the Lord said, remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. Now, testing can also involve trials, as we're told in James chapter 1, verse 2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. Now, temptation is another thing entirely. Temptation is something that the devil does, like when Jesus was tempted by the devil in the wilderness. Now, James chapter 1, verse 13 makes it real clear that God doesn't tempt us. Let me read to you James chapter 1, verse 13. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. So temptation comes from the devil. In fact, Matthew chapter 26, verse 41, we're told that Jesus told his disciples, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. So when we're praying for the Lord to lead us not into temptation, we're asking the Lord not to take us or let us go where he knows that we're going to fall. But we're not asking him to spare us from being tested. That's just part of discipleship. What about the word deliver? Deliver means to be kept safe, as it's used in Romans chapter 15, verse 31, where Paul wrote, pray that I may be kept safe. It also means rescue, as Peter used it in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, where he wrote, the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials. And then deliver, as Paul used it in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10, where he wrote, he has delivered us from such a deadly peril. And so we're asking the Lord to deliver us from who? From the evil one. Now, some translations say deliver us from evil, while others say deliver us from the evil one. It's really one Greek word, but it's personified by an article that's put before it. It says the evil, which is referring to Satan himself. So there you have it. Four very distinct and important words: lead, temptation, deliver, and evil one. And now that we've got a good foundation, we can begin to dig in deeper so that we'll understand more correctly what we're asking the Lord to do when we say, Lord, don't lead me into temptation. So join me tomorrow, and we're going to study this verse in more depth. So I'll see you then.